This episode of Press Play and Run is brought to you by Velaforte. Kitchen crafted from the finest 100% natural ingredients, your Velaforte nutrition is designed to energise your performance, health and well-being like never before. No compromises, no fake flavours, no ingredients you can't recognise. Just beautifully balanced, award-winning delicious products. Welcome to the real food revolution. I've been trialling the whole Velaforte range over the last few weeks and couldn't recommend more highly their energy chews for long runs and the gut healthy bars that have taken my snack game to the next level. And listeners can get in on the act and feel better thanks to Velaforte's kind offer of 25% off to Press Play and Run listeners to give them the chance to feel better. Just visit the Velaforte website, pick out the products you'd like to try and enter code PRESSPLAY25 at checkout. Welcome to episode 10 and the finale of season 2 of the Press Play and Run podcast with me, your host Ryan Miller. If you've made it this far, there's a good chance you're going to stick with us. And what I want to talk to you about, as well as my own running here, is the direction of the podcast moving into season 3. We've got a lot to cover in today's show. We obviously had our first ever Press Play and Run retreat, and we're going to get to that, and you will hear in this episode an abbreviated highlight version of the first live ever interview that we've done as a podcast with our guest Jac Molloy. But before that, I want to speak to you about Season 3. Season 3 does not exist. Season 3 is not planned. Season 3 has 0 guests booked, but I have made a decision on a bit of a change of direction in how the podcast operates. So this first 10-minute segment that you're used to hearing usually has me racing through a recap of my running for the week. For me, it's one of my least favourite parts of the podcast to record. Now, in conversation with people, I know that it's something that's better received than I feel it is. People enjoy being invested in the journey of my own running, and I really appreciate that, and they like to hear what I've been doing. But I think it's the fact that I'm actually sitting on my own, speaking into a microphone without that sort of two-way conversation, which I really thrive on. I'm at my most comfortable when I've got a guest there, and I can keep the focus on the guest, as well as interspersing some of my own running experience with that. With that in mind, I'm delighted to welcome onto episode 10, my friend, one of the best runners I know, and the new co-host of the Press Play and Run podcast, Alison Jardine, who you might also know as Scottish Marathon Girl. Hello, Alison. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right. I just called you one of the best runners I know.
Well, I thought you were kind of leading up to like a joke there, so I was waiting for you. But you were actually nice.
The joke is I only know 3 runners. You're now the co-host of the Press Play and Run podcast.
I know.
On a scale of 1 to peeing yourself, how excited are you?
Obviously peeing myself. No, I'm very honoured to be asked and really excited for what's to come.
Let's be honest, you weren't really asked, were you?
No, I was forced.
You were told. You were told you had to do it. So I've been speaking to you about this for a while. We've known about it, obviously, probably since halfway through this season, that I'm just not enjoying that first 10-minute segment as much, and also thinking about how to keep the podcast fresh, because there's no doubt, as you know, it's gone from strength to strength since February. I can't believe it's only been since February, but that's us 2 seasons in. We've had quite exponential growth, but I want to make sure that it's still bringing something fresh and doesn't become a bit stuck. And I've felt a wee bit like that in some of, this is all on me, nothing on the guests. The guests have been great this season, but you can end up just falling into the same track of conversation because I'm bringing a particular perspective. So I think, Alison, for me, you are going to bring not only that difference in the opening of each show where we can speak to each other about our running, but you're also going to help bring a different dynamic to some of the interviews, some of which you'll take the lead on, some of which I'll continue to do what I do. And we might not hear from each other a lot through some of them, and some of them will absolutely take on at the same time.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to work well. And like you say, I mean, I know that everyone loves the way that these 2 seasons have gone, and I think you've done really well, but I'm excited to be a part of it. And I think between us, like, we should be able to bring a bit of a new dynamic and keep things exciting. Definitely. We can cast the net further. Again, we've got a brilliant community that's been established. That's us up to, I think, 230 or 40 people or something now in the Facebook Press Play and Run Club space, which is where we shared the news of the retreat that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So we've got that bit growing in the background as well. But I want to make sure that we keep casting that net as wide across Scotland and parts of the UK. I don't want it becoming Central Belt, our friends, our little community, and it just stays in there, because that's nice at times. But it's also nice to widen the net and find out what's happening up and down the length and breadth. And you've got more experience, actually, of the north of Scotland and runners up there, given that you're from Chukterland yourself. But yeah, no, I totally agree because I mean, I know we're going to go into it in a little while, and it's great to have like the run retreats and try and do our meetups at local events. But I do think as well, we have got listeners throughout Scotland and the rest of the UK and world. So it's good just to kind of remember that and make sure that it's relevant to everybody as well. And it's so funny because I was back up the road in Schusterland the other weekend, and so many of my friends, even non-runners, have listened to it. So it's so exciting to know that even though we may be there that people don't run, they're still enjoying listening to what we get up to.
Forget that. It's so exciting to know that they've actually got Wi-Fi up in Chukterland now.
I think you've just lost a few listeners.
So to everybody that's sitting around that one phone listening in the speakerphone, hi in Chukterland.
It's cut out by now. They only get like 10 minutes.
I've just lost your 3 family members that listened up north. That's good. I'm delighted to have you agreeing to do this. I did tell you more than ask you, and you provided me a nice wee segue there into the retreat on Sunday. So we had the Press Play and Run retreat, which was for Place to Be mental health charity. On the day itself, we were in Beechbury Wood in West Lothian, and so grateful to them for their sort of hospitality and for their beautiful premises. I don't know about you. You were obviously behind the scenes helping make all of that tick along. I had so much more fun on the day than I thought I would, because I thought I would have been stressy about logistics, but the vibes were absolutely immaculate. I managed to take that wee moment of just stepping back and watching people connect and engage, and people, some of them for the first time meeting others from Instagram. Give me your take on the day.
It was amazing. It was such a well put together event. There was so much in such a short space of time, but also not too much. It worked really well. But I think what my favorite part, and you just touched on it there, was that a lot of people did arrive knowing someone or a couple of people, but there was a few people who totally stepped outside their comfort zone and maybe had spoken on social media but had never met. And I loved that. Like actually someone, Kerry, that I've spoken to for years on Instagram, we just never met. And she's just moved closer down here. And she was like, oh, this is great because now I've met people that I can actually meet and run with. And I thought, well, as much as it was important to raise money for charity and that side of things, it was also so important just to bring like again the community together. And you just look to people's faces and I think everyone just has such a good time.
It was so good, and that was it. Just seeing it's not what people tell you. People were so nice about it, so complimentary, but it's not what they told me that sort of filled my heart that day. It was the moments of watching them without them knowing you're watching them on the day. Just the conversations, and even the likes of Kerry, who you mentioned, and we'll keep her accountable here, because taking that step led to her saying on the way out, I'm going to join a running club now. That was the sort of last hurdle to get over before the confidence of saying, do you know, this is what I want now, this is what I want to do next. And we had quite a lot of people from our running club there as well, and so grateful for their support. But I'm hoping that Kerry's going to be one of us soon.
It was brilliant, and that kind of was it as well, wasn't it? It was a complete mix of abilities, and you saw that on the run. But I liked how, without even asking, people just kind of got in our group and adapted. So some chose not to do the full run, some did a little bit, some said, let's turn back now, but nobody was left alone. And that's one of my favorite things about running, that it was 30 potential strangers at the beginning, but by the end of that, everyone had made friends.
Yeah, that was an important thing for me. I missed the run because I wanted to be at the venue for people returning, from the first group returning, and making sure the sort of food was there and arranged the way it's call me the dictator, the way I wanted it, the way I had it in my head. But I saw Emily shot so much good footage, and her reel was just brilliant at capturing, I feel like, the sort of heart of the day, and showed the run. The run went swimmingly. It was only part of the day I wasn't in complete control of. There was only one blip, Alison.
Yeah.
Yeah, the person leading the front group can't follow a GPS map on her watch and get lost. Would you like to talk me through your inability to follow simple instructions?
Well, I just felt that people had come along to see our authentic selves, and I didn't really want I didn't want to take a tumble because I've got a marathon this weekend. So I thought, well, what else am I good at? Getting lost. So, I
Don't be throwing my words back at me with the authentic self rubbish. I sent
got
all the
lost.
run leaders a GPX file onto their watch so that the watch would beep and point them, and you still managed to take the wrong way at the fork in the road. And I'm going to add, you've done that run before.
I know. But I'm also the person that got lost at a park run, so.
Thankfully, the people that attended and that were in your group managed to adapt and overcome and just run an additional small loop to get the sort of mileage they were after. The retreat was just everything and more that I hoped it could be. Raising the money was the key thing for me. It was the reason for doing it. Bringing people together is as good a secondary reason as you can possibly have. That's me hit my London Marathon target. Between that and the raffle, I think I'm sitting at like £2,500. That could never happen without this platform and the support of that community. So massively, massively grateful for it. There will be more events, no doubt, in the future. And we could do it on a sort of not for profit basis or on a smaller charity scale to make a charitable donation. There's all sorts of manner and means of ways we can go about it, but there will be more of them because it was just so good.
Yeah, and I think as well, when you're speaking about the cost, I totally get what you're saying, but that was the thing. People, you go to some events and you don't really get much, and you come away thinking, okay, fine, but it was for charity. Whereas, I mean, even like the first activity really was the yoga, which looked amazing. And people came out of that and they were like, do you know what? If that's all we did today, I'd have been delighted because
Yeah.
that was just such a good like hour of everyone was amazed at how good they felt after.
Yeah, and again, it's a huge thanks to Sophie who donated her time to do that yoga session. And, she put people through their paces. I was watching the yoga and it was, it's obviously not as advanced as if that's what you do every day, but she didn't baby it either. And I know this because, and we'll move on to this in a second, I was at the Lululemon Ambassador Connect Day yesterday and we did a yoga hour and it was definitely a more gentle yoga hour than Sophie was doing. But everybody coming out of there said the same thing to me. We need to start incorporating,
Yeah.
if not specifically yoga, more of this sort of mobility, focus on single leg work and balance and, that power aspect of the yoga that she was doing. But people were raving about it, apart from it being about like 95 degrees.
Yeah, that's just like I said, it's like Bikram yoga, and you pay even more for that. So
Yeah, exactly. We gave you hot yoga without even advertising it. You're welcome. So massive success. So grateful to everybody that came, the guests, to the brands that supported us. This is a sponsored episode by Velaforte, who were one of the main sponsors of the event and gave us product for the gift bags. Velaforte were not the only brand, and you'll have seen in our socials people tagging them in. So we'd encourage anybody that was there on the day to keep doing that, sharing the generosity. Obviously, these brands get their awareness out there, and that's their purpose of that as well. But there's no need for them to support us either. They choose to do that. And you will hear through this episode a couple of adverts for Velaforte who've gone above and beyond, really, with the level of support that they've given me. After the event, Alison, I think I needed a sort of lie down in a dark room, when you pour yourself in socially and you've had that heightened sense of, I hope everything's okay in the day. But I didn't have that much time for my shoulders to come down because then I had this Lululemon event yesterday. So I was at that, and that was meeting with the ambassadors, the 3 ambassadors from Edinburgh, 3 from Newcastle, the other 2 from Glasgow, who I've not spent that much time with before, plus store managers and some Lululemon staff. And that was in Berwick-upon-Tweed. So it was a fair drive. It's like 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away, but it was absolutely stunning location. We had a nice walk along the coast and we caught up. I just met so many. It was kind of like the retreat vibe again, just so many good people. And a wee bit of, it's exactly what I needed after being frazzled following our retreat. There was a bit of personal development stuff there, chance to reflect on some some running goals, some where do you see things going, and it solidified some of what we've been speaking about maybe the direction of the podcast as well. I cheese every time I talk about the opportunity I've had to be a 42-year-old ambassador for a company like Lululemon, and what that means on the day-to-day has just been so rewarding, not only in terms of the brand support they give you with clothing, and that's the bit people see, but that notion of personal development, honestly, it's like world class. Better than anything I've ever had in employment in terms of personal development type work. So it's just been amazing.
And I see that I mean, we speak most days, don't we? And I've seen and heard what you've been offered through, like you say, not just the clothing, but the opportunities and the support that they give you. Not, they've helped a little bit with the event on Sunday, but like you say, they don't just say be an ambassador and leave you to it. They've offered you a lot, which not just only in that, but you can use in other aspects of life. So, whenever you speak about it, you're always smiling. And I haven't seen much about it yet, but what I did see on socials from yesterday, it looked stunning.
Yeah, there'll be more to come on the socials because they're providing us the footage of the day. They had a videographer there who'll send us the files, and I'll share a wee bit more about it there, but there's something quite profound as well about the nature of the discussions that they have that takes you, and I'm with strangers, of course, but
Hmm.
in some senses, I'm finding that easier to properly open up to maybe some of the changes I've made in my life, where my head's at now that it wasn't before, because there's zero judgment. Nobody knows me. You're not having those conversations with somebody near and dear. Whenever the journey of that comes to an end, what I've learned from it is going to live far beyond the sort of time frame that I am the ambassador, and somebody else will pick that mantle up. Something that's missing right now, there's no run happening affiliated with the store. That's something I want to put right, because I don't want running being the poor relation to Lululemon's sort of ambassadorship. So what I am going to do is take a leaf from Johnny Davis' book after a conversation with him as well, and really focus on long running, because I think looking at Glasgow, it is awash at the moment with opportunities to run social 5Ks.
I would totally agree. There's just so many. You hit the nail on the head there. It's actually a point where I think if any other company or group wanted to do it, they'd struggle to find even a day.
Me adding a 5K in there's not adding value for me,
No.
for anybody else. So what we're going to do is launch I'm still fleshing it out, but I'm torn between either bi-weekly. I think I'm going to start though with a couple this side of Christmas that will be monthly, once a month, and it will be a long run starting from Lululemon shop. The route will be shared in advance, and there will be sort of drop in, drop off points, so that if you want to do 10K, you'll know where that route would finish. If you want to do 15K, you'll know where that route would finish. If you want to do, and we can get up to, what we will do is coming into spring marathon season, work right up to the 20-mile distance.
That's going to be brilliant, actually, because like you say, I was just thinking when you were speaking that through, there's going to be so many people that if you're doing this in a marathon at that kind of time of year, you might not be bang on exactly the same week, but like you say, you can drop in and out or add on, and you'll get to know people maybe doing the same that you didn't. So I
Yeah.
think that's a fab idea.
So I got this. I ran with the Scrambled Legs Run Club a couple of weeks ago in London, and that was like 170 odd people, and there was everything from 10K there through to what I did, which was 20 miles. Started with over 170 and finished with about 8 of us doing 20 miles, and that's my sort of vision in and around it, is that you get from it what you need. There will be a couple of different pace groups, because I know that's been something that big group have struggled with, where, you know, I'm going to be training for a marathon specifically in January, so that will change. Right now I can run as easy as we want to run, because it's just base stuff, but then there will be aspects of mine where I've got a block of marathon pace in it, and everybody has to be able to get from it. So we'll have a couple of different people there. We'll offer published pace groups approximate as well, and people will know what they're coming to. So it won't be a group for beginner runners, and I'm not going to hide away from that, because that exists already, and I could actually signpost you to loads of good options there. It will be probably, you would need to be able to run a minimum of 10K to get from it what you'd be looking for.
Yeah.
If you're happy to turn up and run 5K and dip off at that point, that'll be up to people. But the pace bit is not going to be a barrier, because we're going to make sure we've got people there that can cover paces to a reasonable degree and make it as inclusive. The most important bit about making it inclusive for me is that you will know in advance what it's going to be. Not to say I can cater for every single pace, but you'll know what we can cater for.
And I think that's the important thing as well, isn't it? That you have to, when you're training for your own marathon, have to be a bit selfish. We've spoken about this so many times, and so have other people. You've got to get out of it what you need as well. But what you'll actually find, and we spoke about this a lot, this training block, was it's hard on your own sometimes. So people appreciate that. So yeah, maybe they might not want to run 20 miles at some pace, but see, even to get like, I don't know, 10 miles and then drop off and do your own thing, even like it helps just doing a part of a long run with people. Like we've done it a few times, you've helped me out. So I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea. And like you say, as long as people know what they're coming along to, then you make it work.
Yeah, so more details to follow. Quite soon you'll start to see me putting out some information about it. It'll operate through the Facebook space and also Strava, so that people who are not on Strava also have the option of seeing the route. And it will finish, despite the difference in paces, it will finish by going for a cake and a coffee at the end. There will be an opportunity for a sort of half-hour social catch-up at the end, so that if you only want to run 15K, you can, you know where people are going to be, you can get there, and you still get that inclusive bit again there. So that's the vision behind it. If there's a real appetite for it, there's always a scope for it to move more regularly than once a month. Other than that, my own running is ticking along, and I'm still just working towards the Davaway Ultra. So that's November the 11th for me. Eyes on the prize, and I'm going for that. You, however, Alison, You've got a more pressing date than me.
I do. 2 days' time.
You're going to be running in Yorkshire.
Yes, we are. So yeah, it's not been the easiest route to get there. My training's not exactly been structured or without many hurdles along the way, but I'm kind of taking this a different approach from my usual. I decided a long time ago to enjoy this one because I kind of achieved what I wanted this year in Easter time when I did Tokyo and London. So I was just going to go and have a good time. And then Kirsten asked me if I would pace her, which we've done once before. So to me, that was like perfect because I've always wanted to do a marathon with her again because we had so much fun. We're going to run together. Emily is an ambassador for the event, so she's looking forward to that. Like I say, totally different for me, and it's actually really nice because I remember when we spoke before I went to Tokyo, wasn't it? We had a quick catch up, and you were like, "How are you?" And I was like, but inside I was probably very nervous. This time I'm just like, woo, we're going on holiday tomorrow. So I'm quite excited. I mean, I don't think I'll be like that at the start line, but it's just so different, and it's nice to run with no pressure. Well, apart from being a pacer.
We're going to dig into some of the changes in your running over at the beginning of season 3. We'll cover that naturally as we move on because not forever, but you've taken a step back from that PB chasing. Just give your body, give your mind the chance to probably process all the work that's gone in. So I'm looking forward to hearing the stories because there will be disasters in Yorkshire. There is no way the three of you are getting together and that everything goes smoothly because that's just not how your life operates, especially when Kirsten's in the mix. And I never thought I'd see the day where Emily's to be the mature saviour of the group. But all the best with it. I hope that you get out of it a whole different experience than maybe you've had in quite a long time. And I hope that you help Kirsten, who's not been without her drama in the taper, get knocked down by an e-scooter. Well, by a person on an e-scooter.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Like I say, can't wait. So yeah, I can't wait to share the stories.
Okay, so the cat's out the bag now. Everybody knows that's you. You're official co-host. We will put out obviously more about season 3 once we've had a chance to flesh out what it looks like. We're going to get our heads together and see if we can identify a few people we'd like to speak to. Maybe get some of them in the bag before we start again. So I think we'll be off air at least for 2 episodes worth, which is a month. So I think it'll be about a 6-week break between here and this episode and the next one coming out, which would be give us time to identify the guest we want and maybe get a couple in the bag. So sound good to you?
That sounds like a plan.
Do you want to have a bash at throwing over to our conversation with Jac since you're now the co-host?
Oh God. So it's now time to hand over to Ryan's conversation with Jac Molloy, who was the first ever guest to do a live episode at our run retreat last weekend.
Boom, natural. You've got the job. Thanks, Alison. Welcome everybody to the first live episode of Press Play and Run. As always, I'm joined by a guest from the everyday running community and from the Press Play and Run community. Jac Molloy's everything that our podcast is about. She's a runner, she's a coach, and she's a staple of our local running community, and no stranger to shitting herself at parkrun. One of those things might not be true. How you doing, Jac?
Hi, I'm alright.
So, Jac finished a parkrun recently and I happened to be at the end.
And I didn't shit myself.
But you looked like you had, and now the story is growing arms and legs to where I'm just telling people she did. So that's where we're at.
You did. You walked up to me at the end and went, "Are you alright? You look like you've shat yourself." And I went, "I'm alright," and I definitely haven't done that.
That's what happens when people make an effort at parkrun. We've all known the feeling, and some of us probably have actually shit ourselves at parkrun, so we're fine, we're amongst friends here. So, Jac, we're just going to lead in and kind of get you relaxed and talking about your running from the beginning. As always, I've done that Instagram creep of looking back. Your Insta's been going a while, so it's trying to pinpoint the start of it. I could see sort of a race for life in 2015, but it didn't look like the start of the actual running journey. So can you talk me through when the running started?
Race for Life was a walk. That was a charity thing with my work. My running started... I've always had a kind of battle with my weight since I went to uni and found a love of baguettes and pints of cider for 99 pence, and I battled with my weight a lot. I eventually got to a stage with my weight loss that I thought, I'm ready to do something. I lost my oldest friend. We were friends since she was 3 and she passed away just before her 40th birthday, and that was December 2019. She was due to turn 40 in the March. And all the way through her illness, it was ovarian cancer she had, she walked, she was always out. And I was, as part of my weight loss journey, I thought I want to push myself, but I want to get out there, and I thought, let's download this Couch to 5k app and actually use it for once. I also thought I'll end up deleting it again, so I need to do something. So I went on and I had a look, and can I just say, I'd never googled Rona's illness or anything like that, and I'd also never googled like kind of runs or charities or anything like that. So I googled a 5k charity run in my area, and the first one that came up was for ovarian cancer. And I was like, oh, it's a wee sign, I need to do this. And then it was supposed to have been run on the night of what would have been Rona's 40th birthday. So it was a sign that I had to do it. It was also the night we went into lockdown, the week we went into lockdown, so I never got to do it. But I did the Couch to 5k, I started it in that January of 2020, so it was before lockdown. And I had just loved it, and it grew arms and legs.
So you'll be familiar from listening, I don't think we've had many episodes where lockdown has not been a prominent part of somebody's running journey, either derailing it or for lots of people starting it, and it's that dual thing. But you've got something else behind, you've got grief and you've got loss, and you've also got your own weight loss journey. So I'm going to ask you relatively personal questions which you can tell me to shut up about. That's right. Talk me through the weight loss journey at the beginning and why running started at the point that it did and not before. So to me, that was a real part of why I started running. Stopped playing football, put on 2.5 stone. Could have easily put on another 2.5 stone if I just kept going that way. So running was just a mechanism to lose weight at the beginning. So when did that become a thing of, I'm now at the point where I feel like I can?
I think her passing gave me the final push to start becoming fit. There's history of cardiac problems in my family, and I thought, I can't do this. I was kind of approaching the age where my dad had his first heart attack, and I thought, no, I've got 2 kids here, I need to take responsibility. There had been a photograph posted on social media. I had lost a lot of weight previously, and it had just started creeping back on, and there'd been a photograph posted, and I thought, this is the time to do it. Started to get my head down, and lost a couple of stone, and then it was just her final push that got me to go and do the running part. But at that point, I was kind of, from my original start weight, maybe 3 stone lighter than I started. And then between starting the running and getting to my target, I lost another kind of 5 and a bit. So it's 8.5 stone that I've lost. But the running definitely helped. Yeah. And it's helped me keep it off as well.
That's transformational in and of itself, the sort of weight loss journey, but then running's giving you something, as you said, the sustaining bit can be the difficult bit, because I did yo-yo a few times. I got to drop the 2.5 stone, cut back the running, because I never had the love of it at that point. It's very easy to get back into that cycle.
It very much is. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever deal with, and women of my age, we grew up in a kind of an era of just your weight and your body was all around you constantly, do you know what I mean? And it's like, I seen a thing on Instagram the other day, and I don't know anybody else has seen this video, and it was like comments about bits out of Friends with Monica dancing about in the fat suit, and Chandler made the comment about, oh, I dumped her because she was fat and like that, but he's sitting with her. Bits of Sex and the City where they were commenting how she was fat because she had a tiny wee roll and things like that. I grew up in that era, so we were always so hard on ourselves, but at the same time you just couldn't stop it. And the last guest that we'd on was Jordan Foster. I don't know if you've heard the episode, just from Thursday, and she made reference to some of that online trolling, and I cut quite a lot of that conversation out for Jordan's sake as well, as she actually, that had such a profound impact on her that it made her come off social media. It kind of really shook her of the very fundamental who you are as a person. So we know, even I suppose we can all fall into the trap, Transformation Tuesday, and we share the wins, and it's much easier to share the wins. So I completely understand why you get there. I want to know about the early runs then, Couch to 5k. How horrific did you find the opening? Well, you know that way, you're like, oh, I'm going to get fit, it's the first week in January, you sign up to everything, you join clubber size, but you want to have a Saturday and a Sunday off. So it was like Couch to 5k Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and clubber size on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and I just killed myself. It was like too much too soon. So like the first runs, I was really struggling. I ended up injuring my calves right away and had to take a couple of weeks out again, physio and whatever, but got back into it, and then it was like, I'm doing this, I'm really doing this. And it was like those first Couch to 5k 1 minute runs, it's just like, oh, it's only a minute, but oh my god, I've actually ran a minute.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing.
And people's impatience to get going and feel like they should be able to run a K or 2k or 5k can be hampering there, because Couch to 5k is designed to not do that. And I don't know if Bob's in the room or if he's still out helping. He's not here. He's obviously doing Kilsyth runners and he's got the Couch to 5k group as well.
Yeah.
And he sees that on a regular basis, people turning up feeling like they should be able to, or they previously were able to, and they just can't get their head back into that space. But is it helping you as a coach or in this coaching world, which we will get to understand where people start and to understand where you started?
Oh, aye, definitely. I always think back to where I came from. I do it a lot, but I love it. I'll recommend it, Couch to 5k to anybody.
So you do Couch to 5k, you get the big event, obviously is marking something really significant for you. Did you complete that race?
So I didn't actually get to do her 5k until November 2021.
So that was a lockdown. Because of lockdown?
Because of lockdown, it didn't happen. It was the Supernova Kelpies run that I was doing. It was the nighttime one. It's supposed to have been run on her birthday, which would have been March 2020, and I didn't get to do it to the November. By the time I got to do it in November, I did my first event. My first ever event was Round the Toon, and at that point it was, I think they did that in the August of 2021. That was my first event. Yep. And then very quickly for the year I've just kept doing them.
So I see you as a very sociable runner. I know you through sociable running. You knew people I knew from either the club at Newton or Parkrun. And how did that go for you in your running in the beginning when it's just you, or was it just you? Did you have anybody else sort of gene you along? How do you sustain during a time when the world's locked down and nobody's there to push you?
I always blame one of my neighbours and my friend. I've known him obviously for a while, and he's a runner. I knew he ran with a club. I always seen him out and about, and I thought I want a wee shot of that. I also knew Natalie, who's a hunter who runs with Newton. I knew her, and she was always out and about, and I was like, I want a bit of that as well. One of my colleagues, Leanne, was a runner, and she inspired me as well. And there was loads of it around me, and I thought I want a wee shot of this. But my neighbour, he was always kind of cheering me on and stuff like that, and when he saw the kind of paces and things that I was hitting, he's like, you need a club.
Yeah.
You need to get along, come to the club. And from there it was like, come and join Mac.
That's genius, because that was my next question. You didn't even know that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, ask about Mac. There you go. So we talk about Mac. So you get yourself over the threshold of a club. Somebody's pushed you in that direction. How many people here are in a club or a group? What's our ratio? Roughly half, probably. So for a lot of people, that's a step too far in their running. Like getting over the door, not feeling adequate as a runner, not feeling confident enough to go in and meet new people. Did you face barriers going, or was it just like, there's Mac, I'm going?
Yeah, definitely. I went away along to my first session in September 21, and I did it in the middle of a sandwich of doing, I did the Stirling 10k on the Sunday. I went along to Mac, my first training session on the Thursday, I think it was, and ran 9 miles with them. And then I did the Scottish 10k on the Sunday, and injured myself. And eventually got back to Mac again on in the February. That's when I was able to go back again. I just had, again, too much too soon, that keenness that we've all got. Went along to my first session, and it was kind of intervals round about the Palace grounds in Hamilton. And at the end of it, somebody had pushed themselves that fast. They had been sick at the side, and somebody came over and went, don't worry, that doesn't always happen. That's not the norm at running clubs. Because obviously Motherwell Athletics clubs, you think this is, at that point I thought, this is elite runners, they're all athletes, and I'm not an athlete. I'm a 40-something-year-old mum that's got all this extra weight and skin and all this carry on, and I'm not going to fit in here, and you do it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think you realise, or I certainly realised, that the elite thing that's in your head, that exists there, but they're actually the ones that are out on the periphery of the club. You know, that's not the norm of any club. There's some fantastic runners out there, but for everyone who's running sub 40 10Ks, there's 15 who are just doing their thing at their pace.
And even these guys that are running the sub 40s, and the women that are doing them as well, it's amazing. They're all dead supportive as well, because it's just the love of the running. And they
didn't start off running those paces. Nobody did. What about, when did you settle then? Because that was my thing as well. The first Monday night session with Newton, some of the people here, actually Pete's here, I was chasing Pete around that session, 1k reps first night, and you just don't want to be behind, so I was running at a pace that I shouldn't have been running at. Felt absolutely dreadful the next day, but ego sort of keeps you, or embarrassment, or I need to keep going. When did you sort of settle and say, find your place within the club?
They were just all so welcoming, like right away. Right away, it was. I just felt that I fitted right in.
They're a big club in the community as well. I mean, they're rooted in the community. They do events. You'll see them if anybody goes to Strathclyde Park Run. You'll see them down there a lot and doing takeovers, races and things. But your journey didn't stop at just being a runner within the club. You've been roped into additional duties. Tell me about that.
It's his fault again. Who
is the neighbour?
This is my friend. This is Ewan.
Ewan, is that Ewan that also runs? Some people might know Ewan from Motherwell Athletics Club.
He's also one of the RDs at Parkrun at Strathclyde as well. And he'll put me up the arse for mentioning his name here.
I'll cut you in. I'll just have me saying it.
But yeah, it's him, and he is obviously one of the coaches with the juniors, and he's like, do you know what, you've got this love for this passion now. He says, I think you should come along and give me a wee hand. I was like, do you know what, I'll come along and see what it's like. And I know you're a teacher, and my son, he's used to be. Your spell checks show that. You're not very good at them.
That's true, absolutely true.
And my son, he's training just now to be a primary school teacher. He's at uni doing it now, and I just thought, do you know what, I'm going to give this a go, and I just absolutely love it. I love it. They're just the brightest wee bunch, and they're just great. And obviously, I did my level 1 training, which is your assistant coach in athletics. And I completed that at the start of this year, and I'm doing my level 2 in a few weeks' time. Just on the basic, can you tell me what that involves? Because I think people hear that quite a wee bit on the podcast, if somebody became a coach, and I'm not sure what's the sort of undertaking there. How often do you need to go? So your level 1 is kind of assistant coach level. So you also have level 1 for like your kind of senior groups, like your which is like your leadership and running fitness, which is kind of Jog Scotland kind of level. I've done assistant coach, which is more athletics based. It was about 16 to 20 hours online that I had to do on the run up, and then it was one day at the sports centre. And it was a brilliant day. We'd go into groups and pretend that we were a bunch of kids and lead an athletics session to them.
That wouldn't have been difficult.
And it was, not at all. And it was like, my one I did was Shark Tag. I had to get them all playing Shark Tag, and you had to lead the session, but you had to coach throughout it, and then we had to all to take feedback, and then have a lunch, and then do it all again, and do all that. So that was your level 1, and that's great. That allows me to go out, and I can't plan sessions. I'm not allowed to plan. I can help plan them, but I can't actually plan a session. I can kind of take the lead, but there always has to be a fully qualified coach around.
And is that where you're going next on the journey? Are you working your way to that?
Yes. So I do my level 2 course in November. And it starts off with a 2-day course in person. Then the Monday night I need to be online to do a bit of a seminar there, and then there's follow-up further on in the year. I'm also doing it in athletics, so you can also do the level 2s, your coaching and running fitness, which a lot of your kind of senior endurance coaches do, and it's different, but it's the same, if you know what I mean. It's the same kind of level.
And what impact has all of that had on your running, in terms of like knowledge of what you're doing, but also more maybe time? Is it taken away from your running? Has it prevented you running, concentrating on your own?
No, because I've got a lot of time on my hands, so it's never kind of done any of that. It's never took any of the time away from my own running. It's helped me my own running. I know how to correct my form and all that sort of stuff. I'm very aware when I'm running as well, but I'm keeping it fun.
Now that's perfect, because with your form being so good, tell me about the current injury you have.
Ongoing. My physio says I've got calves that are prone to overloading, and that just tends to be, if I do anything that I do too much too soon, my calves just go into knots. I've got a bit of a problem going on with a nerve going down one side of my calf now that's giving me a bit of plantar fasciitis, and then it's just the way your body kind of compensates, isn't it? It's sometimes we think, we've pulled our hamstring, but it's actually no hamstring. It could be something in our hips, it could be something like that. So it's always
the glute. Just go to a physio and they just tell you it's your glute. No matter what the injury is, I get like a sore ear and it's your glute.
It's the one bit of me, touch wood, that has I've never had an issue with my glutes.
They've just not told you yet it's your glute telling you, yeah, you'll get it fixed.
Probably. So this one's actually been ongoing since January, which followed on from a tear in my quad last November. So I've been a bit of a disaster this year.
But you've also had a silver lining from it, because as I was digging back through the Instagram, you actually see the tone changing in some of your race posts, because you've not been out there trying to gun every race.
Nah.
You're lifting your head, you're running with a complete different attitude. Talk me through what it's brought unexpectedly in a positive side when it comes to races, because you've not stopped racing.
No, so last year I was very much, obviously I was in that bubble, I'd just started running, so practically every run's a PB, isn't it? Every race was a PB, and then I signed up with a coach and I was pushing myself to extremes, and I was just doing really, really well. And I thought, you know what, this is the year I'm going to do a marathon. So I had signed up to go and do Manchester, and obviously I had that quad injury. It was at the Great Scottish Run last year that it went, and I just thought, no, I can't do that. So I set myself a target. I still love doing the events, and it was to go and do the events but not race them. My physio I'm with just now is phenomenal. He's a runner, he's an ultra runner, he's a coach as well, and he's just like, do you know what, get out there, keep running, but take it easy. So I've kept doing it. So I set myself a target this year to do at least one event every single month of the year, and I've done it plus more. I think I'm 13 this year so far, and I've just had so much fun, apart from 2 where I did actually race them.
So the 2 you tried that? You did?
There was one of them, again, I'm just like a calamity Jane. I rolled my foot at training, and then I ran on it black and blue at a race, but it was a relay, and I was like, don't want to let the team down, and all that type of stuff, and they were like, listen, don't run, but I did, and I think that's the only one this year I've not enjoyed. But the rest of them, actually, somebody tagged me in a photograph from, like, I think it was a Loch Lomond 10k, and a girl had found me through that. She thought, oh, thanks so much, you were the one, you kept me entertained with giving me your Percy pigs, and because I always have Percy pigs on me, I'm addicted to them, and you were singing and all that sort of stuff as well. I said, yeah, because I'm just having fun, I'm not racing them, I'm not going for a time, just keep it easy and having fun.
There's something in there about the injury forcing you into that place, because most people, I know most people in this room a bit now, and I think the vast majority I've spoken to at some point about race pressure, the pressure they put under themselves. I'm trying not to look MD directly in the eye, Vicky. But I think we all get there at times where, I don't know if Kirsten's here, she's out as well, they're getting ready to run York Marathon, and that time's dominating everything. I need to get, and it's all here, it's all mental. Something you think you can hold on to when you're fully fit, or do you think you'll fall back into that PB space? Because that's great as well.
There is always that bit of me that I would love to get that sub 50 10k. I got so close to it last year, so I would love to get that. However, I'm not going to break my body to do it, because I've done it. I've put myself under so much pressure. I turned up to the Great Scottish Run last year severely dehydrated, undernourished, hadn't slept, made myself ill to try and get this PB, just through worry, through not sleeping, and I really just made myself so ill, and I just went out there and blew up. It is the run that broke me last year.
It's a difficult thing though, It's a difficult thing for us all, I think, to piece together, because if you're hell-bent on the time, sometimes that's the biggest barrier to getting the time, is what I'm learning through speaking to runners that are much more adept and experienced than me. The more pressure that we're under, the worse it is. So what's the outlook, the prognosis for the injury in terms of it clearing up? How have you been given a time frame?
Well, a couple of weeks ago he said to me I was welcome to start doing efforts and stuff like that again, so it was actually exactly a year today that I'd last done efforts, because obviously I'd done my kind of wee taper before the the Great Scottish Run last year, the half marathon, so I was able to go out and do the efforts again, and again I've just kind of overloaded that wee bit this weekend, just doing a wee bit too much. Last weekend did the 10k version of the Great Scottish Run this year, which was great. I really enjoyed that. It also meant that I was one of the first over the finish line for Mac, because that doesn't happen because they were all doing the half. Aye, so they
I hope you beat them.
So that was actually quite good. I enjoyed that bit. So I was there for the finish for all them coming over, which was great. But yeah, I've been able to get kind of back to it. I had to go back to physio on Friday, and he's just said take it easy for a week or so again. But yeah, just get back on the feet. It's just one of these things that's going to be ongoing.
Do you know what would really help? An ice bath.
No.
Just in case you're wondering. What I do like is I think you've taken control of Motherwell Athletics Club's Instagram, is that right?
Yes.
And
so I'm now the social, I'm the media manager.
The social butterfly for Motherwell Athletics Club.
The media manager, which meant that I also had to I took on a committee role as well, so I'm on the committee for the club as well. It's
been nice to see that on Instagram, because I think that does demystify a wee bit what the club's about, and the people I knew from Motherwell Athletics Clubs were the ones that were finishing parkrun in 16 minutes. So that builds up in your head what you think that club is going to be. It's nice to see pictures from the whole range of the club's activity starting to appear. I think if we're involved in clubs, there's an onus in all of us to make sure that some of what we share is inclusive of, and Dougie, we spoke about your upcoming race for Run Lanarkshire, to make it explicit that this is an inclusive race. We will cater to any pace that arrives, and it's not, because that can give the wrong impression. You know, the vest, the 16-minute stuff, that's I think I don't want to go and do efforts with that. I'll be miles behind.
It's such a great club. We've got everybody there for the juniors coming in at 9 years of age, all the way up to, we've got the female over 75's 5k champion for Scotland.
I'll beat her.
Runs with us. And she's amazing.
I beat her.
She's out there.
Don't tell me. I'll ask you times later in case I don't beat her.
She's amazing. It's just an absolute privilege running away. There's a wealth of knowledge. Obviously, Motherwell are one of the oldest clubs in the area. They're oh my goodness, I think it's nearly as old as me. And it's just fantastic. It comes with so much history as well, which is great. And so much knowledge to just soak up as well. You're just in amongst.
But that's what you get from the club that you don't really think about before you go. It's marathon training wasn't even in my mind going there at first, but you just drawn so much experience where you don't have a coach or you don't want a coach. They're the people you ask. You know, as the people you're chasing about. Because they've done it all. You've got runners at every level. They've dealt with the injuries you've dealt with. They've killed themselves at races before, and they can talk you through pace. And so I couldn't recommend it. I do recommend it all the time to anyone I'm speaking to. Get to a club, find the one that works for you, because every club isn't for everybody, but there's something out there that will suit you.
There's also the massive part of it. It's getting you through those long runs as well. My head's a horrible place when I'm out a run. Can't do it. Need a wee break. Going into that shop, you need a wee sweaty. Finished buying Marks and Spencer's for a Percy pig and all this sort of stuff. Honestly, it's just your head's a horrible place, but going and doing your long runs with the club makes a big difference, which is, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, the long run and the solo long running is just a mental barrier that I still feel a lot. I've been speaking to Jenny, the store manager at Lululemon, so we're going to organise for a once a month to start with, run from starting at the shop, long runs, concentrating on long runs, because I think that's probably where the gap is at the moment. There's lots of social clubs, 5k, in fact some people here are involved in being leaders, but we're going to have different pace groups for long runs, a variety of sort of jump in, jump out points, because not everybody's going the subway run, mural run, things like this. So we've got some plans coming there. Hopefully we'll get them up and running before the end of the year, this year, trying to get this bit done, and then that's going to be one of the next things.
The mural run's great. I did that last year. It's brilliant. The other thing about the club as well is the safety. The safety, especially going into the winter, I can't recommend enough. I bet every female in this room's ran with something in their hand at some point, a key, whatever, because there is times where you think, oh my goodness, and it's a scary place out there sometimes, and it's horrible for us. Yeah,
we've spoken about it at length on the podcast with guests, and it can be an uncomfortable experience depending on where you are, irrespective of who you are. The Clyde Path, our club use the Clyde Path, and we hear horror stories at times, and sometimes it's mostly females, at times it's males, and it puts you off going to run there yourself. So that notion of running together, there is a safety in numbers.
And even you think you're running somewhere safe. I got heckled going down Airbles Road in Motherwell a couple of weeks ago, and Airbles Road is a massive big road.
I was only joking.
And it was three young guys in a souped up Fiesta, like revving their engines, seriously, and they shouted out the window. And I think obviously when they passed me and realised that,
and
do you know what I mean? I was just like, go.
There's a real lack of understanding at that age of what that can mean to somebody on the other side of it, where you think you're having a laugh with three pals and you think nothing more of it the minute you're past the person, but that's enough to stop that. I had this conversation with my wife a lot. She doesn't want to run at night in the winter, and the car's tooting and things, and it really has an impact, and it's just somebody being daft and not that, you know, it's not always sinister motive, but
Yeah.
people have no idea of the impact it has. So I think that needs to be called out wherever we find it. It's definitely, it's not good enough. What about when, let's say, the injury clears up? I'm thinking about what's next for you. What are the plans? Let's say we get this cured, healed, and you learn how to not do too much at one time. What are the big scary goals that you have?
I'm balancing it out. I'd love to do a marathon. I want to be in that club. I also quite like the idea of an ultra, because see this going up a wee hill and stopping having a bit of cake. Big Jack's still in there, do you know what I mean?
Jack said that, not me. Did you see Glasgow to Edinburgh yesterday?
Yeah.
That did not look like a wee bit of cake in a hill. I saw some broken individuals.
I was actually speaking to somebody last night. I was at a party last night and I spoke to somebody who'd done it yesterday as well, and he was like, broken person, but absolutely loved it and would do it again tomorrow if they could. So I quite, all these three things, the sub 50 10k, that's my big dream. It is. So that's it.
Sub 50 10k marathon. When? Let's put you under pressure.
I would love the sub 50 10k next year.
Yeah.
But I'm not putting myself under a time pressure, because that's what I did before.
Yeah.
I can't rush the injury. I'll do it when I get healthy. Do you know what I mean? I waited until I was nearly 40 to learn to run. If it takes me to 45 or 50 to get that.
There's no rush for it. Next week will be fine. Just let us know how it goes.
At all.
Well, Jack, you've got the kind of journey that typifies why I wanted to start the podcast, because when I'm listening to podcasts, and I was an avid listener to podcasts before this ever started, but not so much running, and never found the ability to connect with them because nobody sounded like me. Nobody's running journey was like Olympic athletes. It was really technical about, you know, how to run, and there's some amazing podcasts out there with experienced Olympians, and that's not the journey for us. I want to know about the person that just can't be bothered on a Thursday but goes anyway. Why did they go? What makes them tick? Your story and your transformation from the weight loss side of it through to where you're at now is remarkable. You probably don't see it that way yourself, but you're working with kids now and inspiring them, so more power to you on that. But we're going to finish off the interview as we always do, unless I forget. We're going to do the quickfire questions, and you're going to get to see how not quickfire the answers to the quickfire questions are. That's the heaviest edit in every show, where I take out the silences and make it sound like people are like that, and I cut out all the so this is, as you know, designed to be sort of what comes to your head. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
On your marks, get set, go!
Favourite running shoe of all time?
Oh, the Vaporflies.
Just got a pair to see.
Aye,
I'm bougie now, apparently.
I'm actually between them and the Alpha Flies. The Alpha Flies, but the stack height on them means you can't wear them in most places.
Well, as of last night, they're no longer called cheat shoes, they're just called your shoes since I got a pair. Favourite training route?
I do like to run the path that goes from Strathclyde Park, the Avon Walkway, and up to Chatelarault. So you're getting that fast bit on the pavement, and then you go to Chatelarault, you're through the trails and the trees, all that sort of stuff, getting muddy, and then back.
Yeah, that's a mucky run. I've done that one before with my old club. Proudest running moment?
Oh, I broke down in tears when I finally got to do that 5k for Rona. My son was at the finish, and he actually told me. I broke down.
Did you get over the line before you started training, or were you won that personal?
I got over the line, and I got my medal put on me, and I just collapsed. It was just the best thing ever.
Yeah, I actually saw somebody in that ultra yesterday. Does anybody know Ben that's from Mount Vernon Runners? Yeah. Ben was greeting. Yeah, I was actually greeting. They messaged me last night. It's like, that's it. That just shows you what it can do when people hit that goal. Yeah. Incredible effort. Favourite podcast that's not this podcast?
Ryan, I don't like podcasts.
I don't even like mine.
I'm being dead honest. I actually can't stand them. Until I found yours, and I have listened to nearly every episode. There is only one other podcast I listened to, but I had to stop listening to it because it was making me laugh so much. I thought I was going to, when I was running, I thought I was going to pee myself. And it was,
you can't shit yourself and pee yourself when I run.
And it was, and this will get edited out, my dad wrote a porno.
Aye, it won't get edited out, but I'm glad you said that.
That's like absolutely hilarious.
I've heard that's so cringy.
Oh, it's so cringy, but it's so funny.
That's the other thing I've found out doing these, how little people actually listen to podcasts or even listening to this, and I think it might be that connection thing again. They hear people that sound like them, so this seems to be sticking. There seems to be something.
I do like listening to the radio. as well. Only certain DJs when they're talking because I can't be bothered with a chat.
Did I remind you of Radio 4 with my posh voice? No, not so much. Go to pre-long run meal. So what you feeling with in the morning of a long run?
Oh, it has to be the wee McVitie's waffles. They go in the toaster and then some golden syrup over them, and I'll have a banana with it.
A what?
Banana.
A banana. Okay. The fairly standard, that or porridge. If you could run alongside yourself as a beginner runner, what advice would you give to yourself now?
This is just going to keep getting better and better. It's going to also get really crap at times, but it's just going to keep getting better and better, keep going.
Yeah. One inspirational Instagram profile you never skip by?
I really do like running mum Leanne. I know she's a
great.
Former guest.
Yep.
She's fab. Our wee smile just likes that Instagram page up, and she just keeps going. I just really like that.
6 months it took me to get Leanne to come onto the podcast, of bombarding her because she was not confident enough to talk, which is great. She's doing the Davaway Ultra, the same one I'm doing. Run with or without music?
With. Unless I'm with the club, and then it's chat.
Favourite park run?
It's got to be Strathclyde. It's my local.
It's flat.
Aye.
It's the most common answer, and we've got the Drumpellier team here, so I feel like somebody should say Drumpellier.
I've actually only done 3 tourist ones. I've done Aviemore when we were up there with the club. I went down to Troon to help 1 week with their Pacers. I've actually volunteered more than I've ran park runs.
If Drumpellier would just put some concrete on top of the woodland bit, flatten it out a bit, make it just as bad. No, it's a great park run as well.
I used to work every Saturday morning, so I say I gave up my job so I could start doing park run, and I've just...
Have we got anybody who's still not done a park run in the room? Anybody admitting it? No, all park runners? Good. There'll be somebody that's just not putting their hand up. Lies in here, I'll be checking. So, final order of business in the podcast is, as always, is to pick your track for the Press Play and Run playlist, which is getting marginally better. We're starting to drown Kaylee's choice out, so it is getting better. So this would be a track that doesn't tend to come off your running rotation, or something that really gets you going in those hard yards when you need to dig in. So what will it be?
I was torn between 2 because I've got one that's like really, really epically shit, and I wanted to add it to the playlist, but I've decided not to. I'm going with the one that is...
Tell us that one first.
It is Let's Get Ready to Rumble with PG and Duncan.
That's not the one you're actually putting on,
no.
though. Right.
No. I actually went to see PG and Duncan concert July 1995.
For anybody who's not the same age as us, PG and Duncan were... It's Ant and Deck, but they were what Wayne's basically in a... there will be people here who don't know who they were.
I went from seeing them in the July and I discovered Oasis in the August, so
that's a bit of a step up.
But yeah, my song that I'm choosing is my song from when my friend and I went clubbing when we were 17, Universe Coatbridge, and it is Run DMC and Jason Nevin's It's Like That.
See, there's a banger. This is what I was expecting, some more bammy music. That's what we're looking for.
But it's got to be the Jason Nevin's remix because it is.
I'll get that added. That'll be added. So this episode is going to come out audio dependent because this is the first time I've tried it like this, but it looks fine. As I see it on here, it looks like it'll be okay. This will come out as a bonus episode in between the sort of breaks, so that'll be nice. That'll give me a longer break to figure out what we're doing for season 3. But very, very last thing is just to say thank you to Jac. I really appreciate it. It's not easy doing this in the first place, but doing this with all these people staring at you, they are nice. But first of all, before I open it up, can I just say thanks to Jac for coming today. Is there anything, there's no pressure, but is there anything you want to ask Jac about our running, or ask about the podcast generally, or you just want to get yourself ready for running now?
Nah, I don't want to listen to me. Heard enough.
I don't have a question, but I just finished cleared out my dad's house. He moved in 2005, and in my cupboard in the top of my bedroom there was wrapped up posters, and I hoped it was still there, but it's a signed PJ
I thought it was going to be something quite profound there. Can we raffle it? That would maybe devalue it, I think.
Honestly, that has to be a bidding one.
PJ and Duncan.
Honestly, that curtain piercing.
Thank you for listening to the Press Play and Run podcast and to our episode sponsor, Vela40. Remember to check out the full range at vela40.com and enter code PRESSPLAY25 at the checkout to get 25% off your first order. If you have the time, we'd love it if you could also support the show by dropping us a follow, rating or review wherever you get your podcast. Until season 3, get the trainers on, press play and run.